Good morning. Welcome to our first episode of 2021 of Community Matters. My name is Mary Alexander Basta, Village of Bolingbrook Mayor, and today's topic is public safety. I am joined here today with experts from our very own public safety in Bolingbrook, police and fire departments. Our first guest today is Police Chief Mike ROMPA. He has been with the village for 27 years. He has served as our codes enforcement officer, patrol officer, field training officer, raid, entry, and containment operator, and a community policing officer. He served as the sergeant of patrol, community policing, REACT, code enforcement, and the professional standards division. He served as lieutenant of the patrol, profession standard internal affairs, and was media relations officer. Before becoming chief of police, he was also the commander of investigations as well as deputy chief of police. Welcome, thank you for joining us, Chief.
Thank you.
Also joined with us today is Kristen Swenton and Bobby Armstrong. Kristen is a lieutenant of support services and special events. She has been with the village for 21 years and has served as a patrol officer, field training officer, and was the sergeant of patrol and support services. Kristen, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Also with us is Bobby Armstrong, crime prevention officer for the police department, and remains certified as a field training officer and elderly service officer. He has been with the village for 17 years and started as a seasonal Bolingbrook codes enforcement officer during college. Bobby, thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Also joining us today is our very own Chief Jeff LaJoy of the Bolingbrook Fire Department. He's been a firefighter and paramedic since 1997. In 2007, Jeff transferred to the Fire Prevention Bureau and filled the role of inspector and investigator. In 2010, he was promoted to lieutenant. In 2013, was promoted to the position of fire marshal and became our very own fire chief in 2020. Jeff is also joined by Brian Gaston, who's our fire marshal of the Bolingbrook Fire Department. He started his career with the Bolingbrook Fire Department in 2002 as a firefighter paramedic. In 2010, he was assigned as the C-shift fire inspector. And in May of 2020, he was promoted to fire lieutenant, and October became our very own fire marshal. Welcome to both Jeff and Brian. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get right into questions. And remember, you can also comment on our Facebook feed if you have any questions that you would like to ask via Facebook Live. You guys ready for this?
Yes,
Sure.
ma'am.
All right, here we go. First question is to our fire department. There have unfortunately been several residential fires over the past few weeks. Does the Bolingbrook Fire Department investigate these fires?
Yes, we do, Mayor. We investigate every fire, no matter how small, that happens within the village, jurisdiction. So, yeah, every fire is investigated. We have a team that consists of 13 fire investigators, and 3 of those 13 are arson investigators, which that just means they have police powers also, so they can arrest and they can serve warrants. They can go to the judge and get warrants. So, but yeah, every fire, no matter the size of it, we investigate.
Very good. And can you speak to what may have caused those recent fires?
So a good majority, if not all of those recent fires in the last few weeks have been attributed to electrical malfunctions, whether it would have been overloading an extension cord, improperly installed electrical was a cause of one of them. And, this time of year, people have a tendency to overload their, temporary wiring is a problem. Extension cords with the use of, space heaters is a big one. It's a big draw on electrical current. And then if you have an extension cord or you have an overloaded circuit already and then you add a space heater to it, it tends to overload that circuit quite a bit and cause another additional load on it. And then that connection gets a little too hot, and then eventually you end up with a fire.
Great, thank you very much. What can residents do in terms of doing their own electrical or house fires, how can residents be a little bit more proactive to prevent fires?
Just practicing overall fire safety, you know, especially with cooking tends to be a big cause of fires. You know, unattended cooking is a big problem. So if you're cooking, you know, just stay in the kitchen. Familiarize yourself with how to put out a fire. You know, if you have a grease fire, just make sure you have an extinguisher handy or a lid to cover the pan. Don't put water on it. Don't overload electrical circuits. You know, if the breaker's popping, there's a reason why the breaker's popping. So don't go back and constantly turn it back on and, you know, then, you know, have an electrician come out and take a look at it. I can't tell you how many fires we've had where people have known they had an electrical issue, but they tended to ignore it. And there's a reason why something's not going right. If you smell something, if you see a spark, if your breaker's tripping, that's definitely something you should have looked at by an electrician, and then you should cease utilizing that outlet immediately until you have somebody look at it.
Great, thank you very much. Another question is, does the Bolingbrook Fire Department offer any services to assist residents in helping prevent and prepare for emergencies?
So I'm going to defer that one to our fire marshal, Brian Gaston. The Bolingbrook Fire Department, we run what's known as a community risk reduction program. And the gist of it is just to, we can't eliminate all the risk that people experience every day. I mean, we have risk in everything from driving our cars to, you know, walking up and down stairs. So the goal of the community risk reduction program is to identify those risks and hopefully limit people's exposure to them. But Brian can attest a little bit more about the program.
Brian, before you get started, can you tell us a little bit about your position and what actually that entails?
Sure. I oversee our fire investigation team, our community risk reduction team, and our fire prevention, from which we go out and do fire inspections within all the properties in the village limits. To curtail off Chief LaJoy, for the community risk reduction, homeowners can call us at Fire Administration 630-226-8540 and schedule a home visit. Any questions can be also directed through that same number.
Great, thank you very much. We did have a question come in online, and as it relates to overnight parking on the streets. And Chief ROMPA, do you want to tackle that one, or would you like someone else to speak to our ordinance with regards to street parking and how we uphold, if you will?
Sure. Our on-street parking ordinance runs from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. every night. We do not allow or permit the parking on village streets. And there's a myriad of issues on why. That's been a long time village ordinance, but priority is the safety of our residents. So our public safety personnel has to operate large equipment sometimes. Also at night, it's harder to see. The police want to be able to have a clear field of vision down the blocks to make sure that the residents are kept safe, that there are not people that do not belong in neighborhoods. And we do have a platform now where you can get temporary permission to park overnight if you are having either repairs done to your property or you're maybe having guests for a holiday or whatnot. So we do have an entity that where you can reach out to us via our website and also get that permission. But it's basically, the core of it is the public safety, the safety of our residents.
Great, and then with regards to enforcement, I know that the police can't be everywhere all the time, but if there is a parking situation, especially now that we have plows that come out and sometimes have to go around them, what should our residents do and how do they communicate that to you?
We have obviously the website, but the best communication is obviously to call us and let us know, and then we can disseminate that information about. Obviously, after 2 inches of snowfall, Public Works needs those streets clear so they can clear your street. If we have multiple vehicles parked or any vehicles parked on a residential street, it makes it difficult for them to make sure that all those areas are cleared. So we also have that ordinance in addition to our on-street parking ordinance.
Very good, thank you. Next question for our police department. I know the police department has researched and instituted new programs and technology to better serve our community. Can you share some of those updates from 2020, please?
Sure. First and foremost, our programs, and it's based upon people. The men and women of our department are some of the most talented and dedicated individuals in law enforcement. I can't say enough about my staff. I'm blessed to have such great, true individuals to serve our community. 2020 has brought a myriad of challenges to law enforcement, public safety in general. And I'm sure that Chief LaJoy and his staff can definitely vouch for us on this effort with COVID and all of the other situations with demonstrations and whatnot. We have done our very best to again, keep our community safe. And there's been several different instances where we have coordinated and communicated with people. The greatest thing about Bolingbrook is that we are diverse and we are used to diversity here. We accept it. And with that being said, it makes it easier for our people to work with our community. And that's exactly what we did in 2020. As far as programs are concerned, our police department is very well balanced. We have a lot of specialties that help people in different areas. Law enforcement continually changes, and the change that we're seeing now is the expectations sometimes are a little bit beyond realism, but we do the best we can to help anybody in any time of need. With that being said, our crime prevention and community outreach officer, Bobby Armstrong, is with us here today. His program is literally a long-term approach to problems for our community. Our patrol officers, our patrol division, that is literally the core of our department. Those men and women are literally the reason why we keep our community safe. However, there are times where people need extra help and long-term help, and that's where Officer Armstrong comes into play. He does a phenomenal job. Sometimes I literally overload him with the amount of requests and what he needs to do to help the community, but for some reason he figures things out, and he's a great asset to me. He falls underneath Lieutenant Swinton's purview, and the reason why I have her today here is she is the head of support services. Support services being our records division and our code enforcement department. With those two divisions, that's going to be the individuals that you meet if you come into the police department, or sometimes if you're out in the field or at your residence, you may see those people in addition to our patrol officers. So these are the core reasons why we are so successful in communicating with our public, is because of the fact that these two individuals spearhead that division. In regards to technology, 2020 has been a very busy year for us. Lieutenant Swinton has done a phenomenal job in so many aspects, so I'm going to cover some of the baselines of what we've done this year in regards to technology. First and foremost, CIO James Farrell, can't thank him enough for his support and what he's done for us this year in regards to technology. He is truly the mastermind of this in my foundation. He is pushing us to obviously look into the future, utilize the cloud-based storage and so many different facets of what we're now implementing. And it's making the village more efficient. It's a lighter based on our taxpayers, so we don't have to spend as much money, make our employees more efficient. We're getting more out of them because we're using technology. The first program that we implemented this year is the Frontline system, and this complements exactly what the mayor asked in regards to on-street parking. So on our website, there's a platform to go into Frontline, and it gives you the permission, the parameters on how to get permission to park overnight on the street. It's a limited time. If you needed extended extended permission, I should say, in regards to on-street parking, you would have to call us direct, okay? It's gonna give you a couple days here and there to be able to park overnight. That and our training portal also fall under Frontline. So Frontline, again, we're using technology, we're using the computer. It's a great platform for us, and we've done wonders with that. DACRA. This is our municipal software program, which handles it basically streamlines all of our complicated enforcement process and handles all of our court adjudication. So this handles all of our citation software. This is another cloud-based tool that we've been able to use. Again, it literally takes off hours of manual labor from our records division because it's computer-based and it's a lot more efficient. For the price and the cost savings, all the research that we've done, the numerous meetings that we hosted with different vendors, this seemed like it was the best fit for us, and it seems like it's a great addition to our department. Again, Lieutenant Swinton is in charge of that, and she's done a phenomenal job with it. Our PACE scheduling. This is for scheduling and payroll. This has been a great asset to us because we are the largest department in the village, and been able to take our administrative aides' workload and diminish it greatly with implementing that software. It's more efficient, there's less manpower, and it's cloud-based. Our watch card, in-car camera systems. This is now a company that's owned by Motorola. Motorola has a big platform within law enforcement. It's a great product. We've seen that it's more reliable. It's a better product. And it's also offers us the platform for future expansion into body cameras when that time comes. Then that watch card system obviously has to go into something, so it goes into our brand new hybrid Explorers that we've implemented into the fleet. The best thing about the Explorers is they're environmentally friendly, and it's good for our environment. They're larger, they're safer to exit and enter for our officers. With all the equipment that we have to have within us, on us, it's easier to get in and out of the vehicle. The new fresh design that we put on them was an uplift to us all as well. And then in the future, we're looking into a brand new program that we're going to include drones. And this is village-wide. The public services, public works, fire department, police department, we're all going into this together to research this technology to figure out how does it work for us. Every one of our divisions in the village can benefit by the use of this technology. From the police perspective, traffic crashes can be more efficiently investigated. Missing persons can be located. Once we realized that doing the research on this, on how much benefit it has to us as a department, we then reached out to the other divisions of the village and realized this technology can benefit all of us. So we're all based upon looking into the future from that model. Obviously, the huge things are the cost savings for our taxpayers, to increase the safety for our residents, and to become more efficient.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just going back a little bit to some of our questions that have come in. Communication has been one of the biggest bridges that I've tried to work with, not just communicating what goes on in the village, but also opening the lines of communication to our residents, to the village. With that, again, we continue to have questions being asked on street parking. Some people want it because they have the extra car, or their family, or overnight guests, or whatever the reason may be. And others obviously do not. With that, please feel free to send, if you're not feeling that our automated portal is to your satisfaction, please feel free to send me an email at mayormary@bowlingbrook.com, mayormary@bowlingbrook.com, and we will address those issues.
Mayor? I can also add, if you're having any difficulty with that platform, you can also contact the police department direct, and we'd be more than happy to walk any resident through it.
With regards to how often will the village be hosting these meetings, as long as we need to, we're here to communicate on the topics. Our next subject will be public services, which will be in 2 weeks. What can the police tell us about the uptick in crime, specifically on the east side of Bolingbrook? There have been many shootings recently discussed on social media.
In regards to, I put out a community alert on our website, and we also have obviously the new Bolingbrook Police News platform that all our residents can sign up for, and you can get emails directly. As a matter of fact, we had one go out this morning in regards to a new news portal that we filled in the community on an incident that occurred last night late. In regards to that, the Chicagoland suburbs in its entirety are experiencing an increase in criminal activity. What I'm asking for our residents to do, and obviously the community alert that went out, is that a piece of our mission statement is to work in partnership with the community. This is to prevent, reduce, and deter crime. We can't do it alone. We cannot be in every square inch of this large community. We have a great village. However, we can't do this on our own. We need the community's help. So if you see something, you need to say something. Last night was a prime example of that. We had a victim of a burglary of a motor vehicle, which turned into a stolen motor vehicle. They left the keys to a secondary vehicle inside one of the vehicles that was targeted. Those individuals stole the vehicle. Our officers located them. They fled. We obviously are not going to pursue for property because we want to keep everybody safe. Later on that evening, we were still able to relocate them. They stayed in town, and we were able to take the entire group that was involved in this in custody. That entire story can be seen on our incident overview on our website on Bolingbrook Police News. But this is a small example of calling us, letting us know, giving us a description, finding out as much information as possible that you can, so we can disseminate that to our officers so they can respond to these situations. Same thing goes with the uptick in crime, and it's not just the east side of town. It's the entire community that's seeing an uptick in some crimes. Our investigations division is working diligently on a lot of these cases. Unfortunately, a lot of these crimes involve juveniles. When juveniles commit crimes, they are treated differently in the court system. With that being said, some of the victims are not cooperative, which makes it extremely difficult on the police department. If you have an uncooperative victim, your chances to reach a final solution in the court system is bleak. So we need our victims to come forward, and we need cooperation. What we're seeing now is the uptick in juvenile crime across the entire board. And unfortunately, you can blame COVID, you can blame, obviously, certain mental depression and whatnot. It doesn't make a difference. We have to improve quality of life here. In order to do that, we have to treat every situation individually. And our investigators give 100%. Whether or not we have a cooperative victim or not, we follow through like we are going to get either a charge or conclude that case. So again, I'm asking our community, report suspicious activity. Make sure that you keep your own property safe. Lock your doors. If you have video cameras, fantastic. That helps us out a ton. Alarm systems are a deterrent. Communicate with your neighbors. Obviously, if there's more eyes and ears out in your neighborhood and you get along with your neighbors, you communicate with them, they communicate with us. This is how we're going to solve this. And this is how we're going to make our community, which is great, even better.
Thank you very much. We're going to give you a break a little bit, and our next question is for Kristen.
Yes, ma'am.
What are some of the key factors in forming positive relationships between citizens and their contact with the police department under the division that you supervise?
So currently, I'm going to reiterate what's already been discussed. Communication is the biggest key factor in both the Records Division and the Code Enforcement Division. We ask that you contact us with any questions, and one of the biggest ones that we can discuss is the on-street parking. A lot of people don't understand the ordinance, and they don't call us until after the ticket is actually written. But if you have a question or a concern, or you have a situation that doesn't fit the parameters of actually logging it online as an exception, we ask that you call us beforehand so we can work with you to actually problem solve. Both of my divisions, both the Records Division and the Code Enforcement Division, rely on communication because we are problem solvers. We're not just there to enforce codes. We are your lifeline and your phone call away to problem solve and get you to an end result that is positive for both the community and the police department. So communication is utmost importance to both of my divisions.
Great, thank you very much. Next, Officer Armstrong. Police are called and must take on crisis intervention roles. How does this pertain to your role in crime prevention and community outreach unit?
Thank you. So in my role, it's slightly different, and I reach out to the public as much as I can. I get the opportunity to go and do these presentations and talking to the community. But when it's going towards mental awareness, mental education, it's different because our patrol officers, sometimes they can't sit there and dedicate the time necessary to give the attention that specific situation requires. And then our investigation division, sometimes it doesn't even make it to them because it's not a criminal aspect of anything that they have to do a criminal follow-up on. So I go everything in between and sometimes overlap with patrol and with investigations. My specialty is kind of a liaison between resources that the community has as a whole. Whether it be the CSC, whether it be counseling in the area, whether it be a follow-up for special needs. We take on, or the department that I work with, the folks that I work with, we take on an entirety of everything that isn't criminal related and sometimes is. So one of the specialties that we get to work with is we get to go to these trainings for CIT. It's a crisis intervention training. A lot of the department has sent several officers to that training, and that deals with specifically mental awareness and identifying it and how to address it for future things. The other thing that we try to do is we sit there and we talk a little bit more to the individual on a one-on-one basis. And what that allows us to do is find out what the actual concerns are. Sometimes people with mental disabilities just want to sit down with somebody and talk. And unfortunately, like I said, our patrol officers don't necessarily have that time to dedicate to that because they have to get ready for the next call. And our patrol unit, sometimes they're going from a child in need and going to help with that, to a domestic, to a fight in progress. So they have to be ready at any given moment to jump out and get ready for the next call. Whereas my department actually has the time to sit down and dedicate a little bit more one-on-one. So for me, getting that training is essential, and they've allowed several officers, not just myself, to be involved with that training. But then getting out and finding out what it is those individuals need. The department has allowed me to become an ESO, elderly service officer, and that allows me to sit down with elderly patients who are starting to deal with a lot more mental stress, a lot more mental disabilities. And traditionally, the ESO is dealing with family members who are taking advantage of the financial situation of an elderly person. And that was the traditional role of an ESO. But now they've allowed me the opportunity to deal with mental process. And we started to do different programs where people with Alzheimer's who are coming here to live with family members, what we've done is we've had an opportunity to put them in our database so that way if we bump into somebody on a general walk and they appear to be maybe lost or whatever, but the address that they're providing us is only the address that they've been living at for the last 60 years and not their new current one. Even with that limited information, we can plug it into the system and connect them back with the homeowner, the new family member that they're residing with, the phone number. It connects those dots easier and doesn't allow us to struggle. A lot of those times it's outside of the realm of what the police officer can do, but because of these new programs and implementing this, we're able to sit down and connect the dots for everybody a little bit seamlessly.
Wonderful. This is a question I'll pose to everyone. What are examples of how residents can help in the safety process or be a part of a safer, better Bolingbrook? And I'm going to start with Brian. What can we do as a resident?
I think it was best said from my colleagues over in the police department. Communication with any public officials, members, your neighbors, looking out for one another, and again, reaching out to your police and fire departments for any future guidance we can provide to you.
I do have a question. Will the text alert system be put into use for urgent scenarios in specific areas other than weather? And the question to that is yes. We don't want to overuse it, but when there is something that's an emergency, if there's a dangerous situation, similar to the weather alert, if there's something big happening, yes, we will use that. Otherwise, we'll be using the email communications that we'll be sending out through police and fire, actually. Chief LaJoy?
Yeah, so the community can get involved in a lot of ways. The Community Risk Reduction Program is there for the residents to take advantage of. So if you want to be an active participant in your safety, you could call and schedule. We have COVID's kind of put a halt to it, but I'm anticipating hopefully by the end of the summer we can get it back up. We have a home inspection program. It's completely voluntary. Residents can call the fire department, schedule at their convenience. We try to accommodate. We can have a couple of members, trained members, come over to your home. And just like I talked about with the electrical issues, they'll identify those for you. If you have an overloaded circuit, if you're using extension cords improperly, maybe you don't have your smoke detectors in the best place, your carbon monoxide detectors in the wrong location. That's all the kind of stuff that they'll identify for you. And part of the Community Risk Reduction Program is education, and that's a big aspect of the education. So if you would allow us to come into your home, we'd be more than happy to preempt anything that possibly could turn into an issue for you guys. On that note too, we have a smoke detector program. If you need assistance with installing smoke detectors, if you have questions where to put them, please call us. If you can't afford a smoke detector, we'll come out and provide them for you. And that's something we'll even do today, even with the COVID stuff. As long as, everybody will leave the home for a little while, we can have a member come by and install free smoke detectors for you. So please, you could call the village administration. You can call fire administration at 630-226-8540. You can reach out to us at fire@bolingbrook.com, email, or even if you go on the village website under departments and you go to fire department, there's actually a form there too to request either smoke detector assistance or the home inspection program. Other services, part of our community risk reduction program, we offer CPR classes, we do car seat installations, we can come into your business and do fire extinguisher training, and also disaster preparation. So like if you have a business in town and let's say you're worried about what the best course of action to do in case of a tornado warning, we'll send a trained member over and sit down with your staff and we'll discuss that disaster preparation with you and formulate a plan. So those are just numerous ways that we can all get involved in the community and try to, just try to keep it a safer environment for everybody.
Thank you very much. Chief ROMPA, I think this question might be for you. Is there a way to alert the 911 operator of the home or person that is being called about? This way she or he automatically knows this person or home has been called in before. When the police come out, they already have a heads up.
Yes, our dispatchers are aware of prior activity and prior calls of service. If there's something of an officer safety alert or even a premise hazard, the officers usually know about it prior to heading to the call. So they usually do have that kind of heads up alert. If there's something that's unique, obviously just contact us direct and we can work you through the situation. And again, it goes right back down to communication. I would encourage anybody to look at our website. There are so many different sources out there, whether it's email, phone call, just directly get a hold of us, please. Instead of posting it out there in different areas of social media, we can't track all those down. We don't have the ability to locate everybody's concern that way. If you come to us direct, we'd be more than happy to assist you.
Thank you very much. And with regards to the question about the new House bill and its impact on our police department, myself as well as the board has released a statement on our website. So more information is there. That would take up so much time to have a conversation about, but we as a village and village board are opposed to the House bill that has recently been submitted. Kristen, how do we keep our community safe?
Again, we ask that you just call us direct, and Chief ROMPA said it already, but I'm going to stress it once again. Especially in my divisions, a lot of the issues, and Code Enforcement and Records works directly with Bobby to do a lot of problem solving. And if we don't know the backstory, Mayor, or that this resident or individual is in need of help and nobody ever communicates that with us, we can't help them. And, like Bobby said, one of our biggest accomplishments is all of the individuals that we have been able to help over the years. And it came from that one neighbor that was concerned that the house wasn't really kept up, or, they see that family struggling and they didn't know where to turn. And they had the courage enough to make that one phone call to our departments. And we were able to utilize a lot of our community outreach programs that we have partnered with and give the assistance that these families needed. And in the end, we've had a lot of positive stories and a lot of happy residents because we took the time to sit with them and talk with them and figure out what they needed just to get by and then to change their life around. So we really, really encourage our citizens and residents to please just call us. Call the Records Division, call the Code Enforcement Division, call me direct, email me direct, because that's what we do. We have enough time to slow it down and problem solve, research for them, and then give them what they need.
Great, thank you. Officer Armstrong?
For me, it's the old saying of you need to become a little bit more uncomfortable. And the reason I say that is some of the information that we put out there, such as traditionally, cars start to get stolen in January and February. That's because the weather gets colder. And what do you do when the weather gets colder? I warm my car up a little bit more. Or I leave my car running when I run into the gas station to get that cup of coffee. So the simple things of self-checking what we do. When I walk, I'm guilty of it as well, right? I walk into the garage, and before I just hit the garage door button to shut the garage door, and I don't turn around to double check to make sure it's closing all the way or whatever the case is. So it's those simple things that we need to put out information that we have been doing. We put out one for the car burglaries. Everybody's leaving their vehicles unlocked, leaving valuables in plain view so somebody walks by, and that's an opportunity for something to happen. So for me, it's just take the 2 seconds it takes, look back, make sure your car's secure, make sure your house is secure, take a walk around your house, make sure the windows are locked up and everything is in correct order. We have to do that from time to time. It's like the fire alarms in our house. If you don't check the batteries periodically, you forget about them. Well, we have to go around and check everything. As commonplace as it is, we forget about it. So that's the information that we're going to start putting out on a regular basis is, hey, make sure it's that time of year. Make sure we start doing this a little bit more frequently.
Very good. You bring up a good point, actually, with regards to starting your car, warming your car, heating your car, sometimes in your garage. And to our police department, can you speak a little bit, fire department, can you speak a little bit about the dangers of doing that? Even with your garage door open, I heard that there can also be some dangers with doing that and the car being in the garage.
Yeah, absolutely, especially in the colder months. Cold air always wants to move to hot air, right? So if you're leaving your car running in the garage and you don't have a sealed up perimeter around your home, then the hot air is going to want to rush into your home. Well, with that, it's going to bring the carbon monoxide from the car running. It's super dangerous. Don't ever run your car in your garage even with the door open. Carbon monoxide's a silent killer. It's odorless. It's colorless. It's going to be too late before you realize that you're affected by it. So just always pull your car out. Don't ever let it run in the garage at any point, even in the summer.
Great. Does anybody else have any comments? This has been great. Open the line of communications. That's what this is all about. That's why we come to you. To my guests today, thank you so much. We appreciate you as residents. We appreciate you as village board. We just appreciate you. We know that it's life's not easy for you. We know that you go out there every day and give it your all. And that's definitely something that we support and appreciate. Again, we bring this to you so that we can, again, open the lines of communication. We are here for you, the residents. We ourselves are residents of Bolingbrook, and we care about this community. With that, I'd like to let you know that our next episode, again, will be with public safety. A little bit more information on the plows, the sidewalks, the street lights. So we will have members of our public services. All these S's and P's and, public services will be here in 2 weeks to talk about community matters. Rebroadcast will be available on our Facebook page as well as our website. You can go to www.bolingbrook.com. And next episode will be on January 26th. With that, I'd like to thank you again for joining us. Thank you to my guests. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care.